So to kick us off, we're
Mhm.
doing a Substack Live with Darla Miller of PumpLife CPR. So you have 20 plus years in the healthcare industry, recent TC. How long was Pump Life? When was Pump Life originally founded again?
In 2018, but recent
20.
tease as of April.
Okay, awesome.
Mhm.
But not just the TC, you also are a medical professional as well. So what do you do outside of being a TC?
I do unit coordinator, I do CNA, I do telemetry tech, primarily working in the ER part-time. So I always like to point that out because I still work even though my primary job is teaching. I love teaching and I love education, but I always like to
Yeah.
point out that I do still work because obviously that's a big part of instructors. We want to do this full throttle, but we lack having insurance and things like that. So we don't have the
Yeah.
resources to eliminate a real job.
Yeah. That is true. Hopefully will cover some of that too. Now, before we get into the heavy questions, one thing I did want to ask you, and I know because we often can be talking at almost all hours because you often work night shift. So I had to say, is there anything outside of the CPR world? If you took CPR world out, what is a perfect non-working day for Darla?
Non-working day for me if I
Yes.
took CPR
Yes.
out?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Is there
A
such a
perfect
thing?
There isn't a such thing, it isn't. When I am not working at the hospital, I totally enjoy being in this classroom. I love coming before class starts, setting up, cleaning the classroom, making sure that it's neat, making sure the students
Hmm.
have everything. So there isn't a world outside of CPR for me.
Okay. So, since you're basically living in it now, one thing that I've noticed is, and we've been talking for, God, it's going to be almost 2 years now since we first got introduced. As Shubs and I both look at the industry, you and I will end up having a conversation. You're always like 5 or 6 months into the same realization that we're thinking about on the software side. So, what was the thing for you when you're like looking at the typical CPR class? So outside of Pump Life CPR, just the standard CPR class, what was the thing that you started to notice where you're like, this should be something's really wrong, potentially wrong with the model that most people are running a CPR class with? What did you start to see there?
Okay, so one of the things was that everything was fast paced. So students would come into our classroom, they would
Yeah.
get a good thorough. Let me backtrack. First question always asked, how long is the class? That's a deterrent for the student because
Yep.
they've gone through very fast classes. So they're like, oh, your class, 3.5, 4 hours. They got to think about it. But then I have to tell them, all right, hey, this is real life. You don't want to spend 15 minutes learning some fast paced skills and then get out there and you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you now, how did you typically handle those situations if you were like, you had someone who's clearly asking about time? Would you pass? What was your approach there?
I explain like how thorough our class is. It depends on what class they're signing up for too. So you're signing up
Yeah.
for BLS, you're new to healthcare. I explain the importance of each step, the differences between adults, between children, between infants. And also, one thing that I love is that we have always gone through a thorough team dynamics portion of our course. So the students actually get to see how the team dynamics is ran in the healthcare field. They'll get to see how it's going to work on the job skills. So we don't go as advanced cardiac life support. We keep it basic. There's no drugs
Yep.
introduced into that course. But once it never that's a never fail. I can describe it to them, but once we actually do it, the excitement is right there in the classroom. They're having fun and they're feeling like, oh, yeah, this is how it's going to be on the job. So, whether I'm describing it or after they actually get to be in the situation, that's what builds the excitement. And that for me feels like the number one comment, I
Hmm.
feel like I can save a life. I feel like I can save a life after
Yep.
going through that whole process, that team dynamics. So I was excited with the American Heart algorithm in 2025, focusing more on the team dynamics
Yep.
because everything that we've been teaching for the last 5 years, it feels like American Heart has been sitting in our classroom listening to us. Like we've been doing these skills and now they're actually putting it in the video. So it's great.
We're not just thinking too, right? Because there are that we do have the secret choppers, so they are actually in the classrooms listening. One thing I go back to our one of the first conversations that you and I had. Now we're going back a year ago. You were working your tail off putting together a national B2B training program. You had a company that contacted you originally just to be one of the sites, and you kind of hustled and pulled the whole thing together and eventually ran a national program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was a neat experience. Yeah, that company was a dental company and they reached out to us, wanted us to teach, hey, just in Vegas, can you cover a class in Vegas?
Yeah.
As right when I was getting ready to end the phone call, the guy said, now I just got to find somebody to cover Utah and these other states. And I said, wait a minute. Why don't you let me do the hard work?
Mhm.
Go find these instructors. Very exciting for me. Any project, I just take it on. Of course, at the time, I didn't realize how I was going to take it on, but I was excited to grab it. I did advertise on the Facebook group CPR Instructor Network. We gathered, fortunately, very great group of professionals.
Mhm.
Everybody that applied for those roles were professional. And I think feel like the winning point of that, the winning what made everything go great with that is that with those professionals, I did not offer them $125 to go teach for me state to
Yeah.
state. I offered them what they were worth, what their time and carrying all those heavy mannequins and all of that equipment, I offered them their worth. And so that's what I think gained the attention of the good CPR instructors versus the ones that are just taking this as a side hustle. So overall, that really pulled off great. We had no hiccups on it. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they wanted us all to teach on January 3rd or January 4th, all at 8 a.m. in 13 different states. And we didn't have not one hiccup. It went great.
I remember you the thing that you were doing there was you you basically helped that person try and coordinate a national program, and then you presented it back in a way to them like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm gonna take care of all this stuff and make sure everyone gets certified." And that was a lot of your own personal time pulling together essentially like SOPs and everything that like you recruited the other instructors if I remember correctly, but you were also you laid everything out to them to make sure that it was like a highly coordinated effort, like the company was just dealing with you, but you were pulling together all the instructors. Is that right?
Absolutely. So every instructor, they weren't on their own. So initially, they didn't know me from Adam. So first of all, I had to gain the trust of them.
Yep.
I'm in Nevada. They're going to go teach in several different states and depend on me to really pay them, make sure this is a real job.
Yep.
So first thing we did once we contacted everybody and they submitted all of their paperwork, all of their instructor like card certifications and all of the requirements to ensure that they yes, you are a real instructor. Then we had a Zoom meeting to meet with everyone initially and describe everything that was happening. From there, I sent out to each instructor a detailed email with all the paperwork and all the required documents. So even though, yeah, as instructors, they already have this paperwork, I sent it to them directly so we know what we would expect back. So that will be obviously the roster, the
Yep.
test answer sheet, the skills
Mhm.
checklist, so that I remained in compliance, so that I received all the documents back. If we wanted to send everybody Pump Life t-shirts, but that didn't make it out. That would have been great to have every single one of those people in Pump Life t-shirts. It didn't happen. However, we did send them barrier devices. They did not go without. They didn't have to pay for anything out of pocket. We sent them the
Mm,
copies of the answer sheet. I literally mailed everything to all the instructors.
Jeez. Did
Mhm.
so you were a training site at the time. This was a year before, then you got your TC. Did did that experience or the way you approach that have any influence on how you're approaching being a TC now or like working with instructors?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. I formed, obviously, after working with all those instructors, I formed relationships with them. Some of those folks in different states several of them have made several trips to Las Vegas to meet me, to teach with me. And so the beauty of that relationship made them were, hey, I can trust them. They like the way that I teach. They accompanied me with jobs out here in Las Vegas, and guess what? Now I have a trusted relationship with an instructor in New Orleans, in Detroit, in
Hmm.
Utah. And guess what? Now these folks can actually be hands-on faculty for me because I know them. They know me. They know what I expect. I know what to expect from them. And when I can't be hands-on in Detroit, I know that I have, and I'll shout her out, Denise from Heart to Heart Safety out in Detroit, who's made several trips out here to Las Vegas so that we can go through different routines and ensure that she's doing things correctly for me on the other end of Detroit. Now she's recruiting instructors. So
Yeah.
it definitely played a great role because imagine having faculty members that you don't even know. Making somebody a faculty member that you don't know. I wouldn't wanna do that. I wouldn't wanna put my business in the hands of somebody that I did not know. And
Mhm.
like I said, several of them have come here to me every year. Who wouldn't wanna come to Vegas anyhow? But
Depends. It from personal experience depends how long you're staying there, but or where you are. But yes. So we were talking like 2 weeks ago, which
Mhm.
kind of got this whole like, we should go talk about this on camera and make it official. We were talking about what it's been like over the last what it would have been 5 6 months of being a TC. What's your model, your approaches, and you were saying I'm doing a ton of Zoom sessions with instructors, talking to them about their business, and I'm like, oh, that's actually very different. A lot of people tend to get to the TC route and they're like, oh, I need to start adding affiliates. I need more people buying cards from me. Nothing wrong with that, different model. But you sound like you're doing something very different. So I'm curious, how have you been approaching it being a TC now? What's different about your approach?
I started this process of going more of a corporate model prior to becoming a TC.
Hmm.
However, after becoming a TC and really, we have a great representative, our AHA representative. And I just want to say that she really hit home on a lot of points when it came down to what is expected of me as a TC. And immediately, what I thought would be overall easy doing this as a training, hey, I felt, oh, I've been acting like a TC as a training site. Totally came turned into something totally different. Number
Hmm.
one, the weight of the world automatically just landed. Oh, wait, this is something totally different. Back to your question, what shifted was the fact that I'm growing and I'm
Hmm.
changing, but I also wanted to see the people that are helping me along the way that are aligned with Pump Life. I wanted to see them grow as well. So I started adding in additional services. So those Zooms are all about growing your business. And that's how you and I met with when I was a training site. I set
Hmm.
up that whole event about growing your CPR business. So those Zooms teach the instructors or inform the instructors about selling AEDs. It's more than selling cards. When you settle on just selling cards, then you have to have a conscience about who's receiving these cards and how they're receiving these cards. And yeah, you want everybody to learn CPR, you want every instructor to be successful, but is it being done correctly or is it a card hustle or a side hustle, which is I hate those words, side hustle when it's connected to CPR. And so make it something bigger. Don't focus
Hmm.
on I can gain my income by selling cards. You can gain your income by gaining corporate accounts. You get corporate accounts by quality CPR trainings, by offering other services, AEDs. Other we're now offering LMS classes for different companies. One
Yep.
company that I went on to just simply teach CPR said, "Hey, can you help us with our driving course?" So now we offer a LMS driving course, and our newest project is going to be wheelchair securement. Those Zooms are all about growing everybody's business, not just my business.
So there's a couple of nuggets in there that I'm going to tease apart because you and I talk about this a bunch. So I want to make sure it
Mhm.
hits and we can dive into a couple. One thing when we were talking back about the training site thing. So when you were a training site, you did that first corporate thing. One was like your recognition of there's, in addition to wanting to have the education quality be very high, there's a lot of
Mhm.
other value that providers can bring to a corporate relationship, whether that's consistency of training, coordination of training across national accounts, all those things. There's a lot more value there that goes beyond just the card or certification. And
Mhm.
then now with your instructors, your Zoom sessions, and I noticed this when you had invited me to speak the first time we met, is if you teach in addition to wanting the instructors to be close to you, make sure I'm picking this up right.
Okay.
You're teaching them how to actually develop closer relationships with corporations. And then now you're teaching them how to grow a healthier business. So, almost as a TC, you're not depending
Mhm.
on more and more people learning how to sell cards, but you're helping people build stronger businesses. And so the whole thing becomes a much stronger entity. And then the last thing I think I picked up there was as you're teaching people how to grow, one example might be AED sales. Now you can sell in
Mhm.
AEDs to your instructors. Next, you're doing program development. So you're going to teach them how they can teach those programs. And so you're almost building and seeding these different little independent businesses that
Yeah.
are not in a bad way. They're coming back to you as a way to grow the rest of that relationship. I also feel the
Absolutely.
same way about the side hustle language. I think there's like a point in time, right? It's a side hustle in the beginning, but then, you know, it's got to go somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And if everyone's sensitive about the numbers, so you can always push back. But I also know one thing that you had said, so if you feel comfortable talking about it, is you're not out there trying to compete nor interested in competing on offering cards at the lowest prices. In some ways, you are consciously not doing that. Do you feel comfortable talking about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
All
I
right.
do.
Tell me. So you
Yeah.
intentionally are not competing on card prices.
Yeah, I'm definitely not because number one, I'm gonna say exactly what I said to you before.
No
Um,
one's here. There's only 11 other people and it's recorded and over a couple thousand people watch it on record. But just pretend it's us.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to say exactly what I said before. And what I said before is that I do have an issue with sharing all of this information with instructors joining my site, new instructors coming along with me, and
Mhm.
sharing all of this information, growing your business, all of these things. But what ends up happening is that they're here for it. They're here for all of this information and they're learning a lot. But then I don't see them on the outside buying cards. Mind you, I'm not worried about selling cards, but I don't see them coming in to our Pump Life Connect. So pumplifeconnect.com is a separate website that I have it's an instructor portal.
Yep.
And so I don't see them coming in buying cards. So they're ciphering all of this information about growing, but they're not helping the growth of Pump Life. So I have an issue with other instructors trying to compete for, so they're going out buying cards from the, or aligning with another company
So
secondary.
primary secondary alignment thing.
Yeah. And so they're buying cards from John Doe for $3, but they're getting and gaining all of this information from me. So I think that's my only issue. I don't care about cards and selling cards but I do care about what you're gaining from me and then you go to the next training center and buy for a cheaper card. So that's the only thing I have to say about that.
So one thing I'm excited about with what you're doing is one observation. I don't feel that there are a ton of people that are out in the space that are spending a lot of time really building network value. I try and talk about that when I'm writing to. Like you have
Oh,
the primary networks that exist today seem to be more of a accountability network. Like I sell you the card and then you've got to report all your paperwork back up to me. And the value
uh-huh.
you get from me is the value you get is the volume discount. Again, not a bad thing. Wholesale has to exist for some people that want to build their own thing. Not no criticism towards that. What I see that you're doing is like this new version where real network value, either you're getting the support of the community that you're creating or education and leverage that you're teaching other people about the business. And I think you're talking about this rub of our what I think will start to happen. And I think you're seeing it with people who are following your programs is more TCs will take a path of being part of Pump Life or another TC or site that might operate like this has more value than just the prices that I'm going to give you. I will actually help your business grow and you'll make more money through generating revenue than by just continuing to increase your margin with lower cost stuff. Because it becomes harder to, if you're losing margin on card prices, becomes harder
Yeah.
to invest in those programs. How much time are you spending putting together a Zoom program that's going to help someone sell more AEDs or learn on this other program? I think last time we were talking, you're doing two or three on a week over the course of a week.
So you're right. If you so let me backtrack a little bit.
You can go for
So,
it.
all right, the main thing is that I don't worry about selling cards. I don't worry about the instructors buying the cards. I guess the main focus is that if you create this like a business that you want to last, then selling cards is going to be the last thing that you focus on. So we just need to focus more on growing. And I keep saying that. That was the topic 2 years ago when you and I met, but growing the business and doing other things. And then we don't get sidetracked and just start thinking, we got to push these cards. And another thing that I notice, I see a lot of people posting on these networks is about instructor courses as well.
It's a big one.
Pushing $250, $300 instructor courses. So that's for that person to grow their business. That's not for the person that's taking the course to grow their business. So I feel
Mhm.
like we're bigger than that. Why would I every month or so offer an instructor course and just to keep bringing 250 $300 in my pocket? Then you got all these instructors, brand new instructors, they're not qualified, they're not getting what they need to learn to be quality instructors, but they're growing their business on selling something. Yeah, we're all selling something, but are we selling quality or are we just selling, here's your piece of candy and I got your $300 and then I'm gonna move on.
I don't know, Darla, if you can see the comments. So Ryan's saying
I
louder, and for
can't.
those in the back, he's saying louder. By the way, if you're on the live and you have a question or if you want a live comment, it's totally fair game.
Yeah, I'm
Hecklers will
I'm
only
in
be
for the
tolerated
comments.
lightly. But yes, fire
I
away questions if you have questions because we're chatting with Darla.
give
Okay,
me one
so
second because I just dropped my paper here. Let me grab it really
okay,
quick. I'm listening.
we'll just talk to the mannequins. They're supposed to have feedback devices anyway.
Okay. Yeah, this is my back office there. All right.
Wait, so
All right, I'm
Darla,
back.
so you do just to clarify the thing, you do also you offer instructor courses. Your instructor courses are a lot more than the $300 to $500 that you quoted, correct? So what's the how much do you charge for your instructor courses?
Yeah, so right now, this is a lower price that I typically would charge, but right now it's $1,900 for BLS and Heartsaver instructor courses. Why? And like I said, I can't see anybody's comments. So if you have to say something or you want me to see something, chime in. Do
Amount
I feel
if we get one.
okay? All right. Do I feel like this is outrageous? Absolutely not. I feel if a person really wants to grow a business, that they're willing to put out $1,900. That's a small price to grow a business that's going to gain more than that in a monthly or weekly, daily time. If you're teaching quality classes, if you're teaching a 15-minute class, you get that student one time, and guess what? They might go somewhere else and take it the next time, right? So if you're
Yep.
teaching quality classes, $1,900 gets you, I don't know if I'll move my camera. Just so I happen to have these in the back, these cases of Preston mannequins. So it gets you two adults, two infants, the AEDs. So if you guys are familiar, it's the Preston Take Two mannequin set. It also comes with knee pads. If you're doing teaching BLS, it comes with bag masks. It comes with 8 adult barrier devices, 8 infant barrier devices. It comes with a ton of things on top of 2 full days of instructor course. So 1 full day in person. And then after you do your first teach back, then we go online and I teach you how to navigate the American Heart System and also teach you how to navigate PumpLife Connect, which will show you how to upload all your class courses and things like that. So that $1,900 teaches you to be a quality instructor as well as an accountable instructor, and then helps your training center or training site maintain compliance. I
Mhm.
don't want to offer anybody a $350 course and then tell them to go, oh, I'm sorry. And that $1,900 also includes their instructor videos and their instructor manuals, hard copy manuals, not ebooks, because in day one, I don't want anybody sitting in my class with an ebook. I want everybody with a physical book taking notes and saying, oh, okay, this is what I need to do when I'm teaching. Short form, long form, that's what it is.
So you're going a step further. You're basically saying you're almost weeding people out between just wants to become an instructor, whatever that could be, a lot of reasons, doesn't mean it's a bad thing, to I'm trying to find people who are going to be part of my group who are at least A, willing to commit the funds, and B, you're positioning it more like you're building an almost aimed towards entrepreneurial instructors. Is that fair?
Yeah. Oh,
Trying
yeah,
to aim for people.
definitely.
Okay. And then,
Definitely.
okay, so I've gone through the instructor course with, not literally, let's pretend. So I've gone through this
Okay.
course, got all my stuff. And then you're helping them start to grow their business. You offer the Zoom sessions. What are the type of things that you cover in the Zoom sessions? Regroup some of that stuff.
Oh, okay. So once they become an instructor, we go through the Zoom sessions. Initially, it's how, like I said, number one, how to navigate the American Heart site,
Yep.
instructor site, so that they know where they can get these documents, what all they can teach, what they can do. As well as because, yeah, you're paying me the money and I definitely wanna be hands-on. A lot of times because I call myself a full-time instructor, I'm teaching majority of the time more than I'm at my primary job. I can't answer every single question, so it's my job to make sure you know where you need to get the important information that you need to get. I
Yep.
also don't want someone to pay me money and then feel like they need to every 5 seconds, "Oh, I need to call American Heart because they didn't tell me this," or to have to go to an outside source either.
Yep.
So that is what that's spent on. That those Zooms are not only spent on navigating the American Heart System, growing your business, but also what it maybe we're bouncing information off of each other. What is it? Is there something that I left out that I need to
Yep.
add in? But I'm not a team of one, John. So I wanna say that too because when I said that I'm a full-time instructor, my setup is maybe a tad bit different from other training centers, but I was set up like this as a training site as well. We have a hierarchy just like the American Heart System. It's American Heart, it's the training centers, training sites, and individual instructors. And Pump
Mhm.
Life is set up with a medical director who volunteers his time. He also has a nonprofit organization, that's Dr. Derek Whiteside. But he helps us. We're using all of his clinical expertise as through our ACLS, our PALS courses. So he's helping us along the way and keeping all these programs aligned. I also
Mhm.
have a training center administrator, Lisa Wallace. She's a nurse and she also is helping with these decision makings. And then there's a couple of faculty members. I'm the training center coordinator, of course, but then we have another nurse or and also Dr. Dorothy Calendar. She oversees a lot of the things that are happening as well. So when we're in these Zooms, they're in the Zooms, in the chat room, in the Zoom with these people as well. So if you join Pump Life, you're not just joining, oh, a team of one, Darla. If she likes us or not, she'll keep us on. No, I don't make any decisions on my own. As a matter of fact, I don't make any decisions. They all go through Dr. Whiteside, Lisa, Miss Dorothy, and Adriana. She's another one of our faculty members, and we weigh each situation, every part of the growth, what programs we're going to implement, what documents we feel like we need to be getting from instructors.
Yeah.
Everything is balanced off of all these people. And before I'm saying yay, nay, or whatever. I think that makes us stand out because now we're fair. You're not just dealing with a training center where you're never going to talk to the owner, but you're going to talk to more than the owner of the training center. You're talking to a group of people that care that you paid your money to be involved with us.
Makes
I
sense.
know that was a lot. I'm sorry, but I did wanna add that
No.
in, that I'm not a team of me ever, because I can always make the wrong decision, and I'm glad to have people that I can bounce ideas off of.
Yeah. That's the medical director thing is also an incredible asset to have on the team. And I've met and worked with Lisa too. You mentioned that shifting to your own growth, both in Pump Life, but sounds like within your network. When we were talking last week, or a bunch was about, I'm focusing a lot more of my growth on corporate training and B2B training. How are you? That's always been your big angle. Has something really changed in what you're doing? Have you grown those programs? What does it look like now versus where it was a year ago?
Yeah, that has always been the minds of me. I think personally,
Yeah.
and to I'm not, I guess I could say that with education and learning in healthcare, I can't remember a time where I remembered what I learned in CPR until I started teaching it. Is
Mhm.
that crazy to say? So
It's a
initially,
change.
yeah, so initially, my first step was number one, teach a fun, exciting class that's going to keep people well engaged and let them walk out of the door and say, "Okay, I retain this information." Corporate for me, as far as trying to grow corporate, would be retention. That's the big word,
Yep.
retention, right there. So, what happens when you have, so I'm going to use this as an example. We have a security company that sometimes will send their security staff to us. Sometimes they'll send it to instructor B. When all your staff get out to all these different locations, they know something different, or some may know something less. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
All right. So the manager of the security company called me up one day and she said, "Hey, I want to know if instructor B's class, they're in and out in an hour, but my other people are at your classroom for 4+ hours. And I need to know what's going on."
Uh huh.
After she took the class, she came back and says, "Okay, we're sending all of our people to your class, but I'm also going to sign up my staff member who I think
Hmm.
can possibly teach your class for your instructor course, because I think from now on we want to have a little more hands-on approach about what our staff people are learning." So she's going to send her staff member to me to be trained as an instructor, and they're going to be teaching like me, of course, with their own touch on it, but now every single staff member is learning the same thing. Some aren't getting 30 minutes of training and some are getting 4 hours of training. They're all going to be on the same page and coming out of their building. So I don't know if that makes sense as far as what other corporate companies, that's my market. That was the angle. I'm
Yep.
all good for teaching corporate staff to teach internally, because guess what? Now everybody's learning the same thing. So I have several organizations, nonprofit organizations, align with me that want to teach it themselves, and they're all in control of what's going outside of their building. And they're all learning it from us, from me. So they've taken our class, they like the way we present it, but guess what? Cost wise or cost effectively, it's better for an internal staff member to teach it. And that's great. And it's great for me too. I talk a lot. I know I do, but sometimes I don't like to talk all the time. So it's a win-win. They can do their own teaching.
Now,
but
have
but it
you
also oh, go ahead. Sorry.
okay, I apologize if I put you on the spot with this. This is just me asking out of pure curiosity. Do you, because there are people that do that model. Ryan, who's commenting here, I know he does that model too. And you all have a very similar quality bar of not only training an instructor that's going to be within corporate environment, but also the services provided, because Ryan has talked about this on a previous conversation. Those instructors also see you as the resource for all sorts of navigating the space. Do you worry or think about how to maintain the quality of their instruction given that they're only going to be teaching in the corporate environment at all? Or no?
No, because I go out and I monitor.
Oh, okay. So you're still doing some level of follow up with them. Have you seen
Yeah.
any of them branch off to do their own thing? Like now they want to turn it into something, or they're mostly still doing it within their professional environment?
Not yet. I've only seen
Not
them
yet.
do it, yeah, not yet. But yeah, I go out and monitor just because they've been taught by me and now, okay, it should be ducks in a row of them
Yep.
teaching.
Yep.
Sometimes things I'll tell you exactly what came up 2 weeks ago. One of the instructors had assumed that mouth to mouth I'm sorry, not mouth to mouth, breathing had went away, just hands-on compressions. Of course, we're not teaching that in the instructor class. I'm not sure exactly where that came from, but just by in casual conversation. So I was like, "Oh, no, what do we need to revisit that, and I hope everybody's not doing that." And so there are hiccups. There is somebody that might have this idea and it might not go past me, but I'm in constant contact with everybody. And that's the benefit of a quarterly Zoom. That's the benefit of a short newsletter or a reminder. Hey guys, I hope you're all doing this. And also, as well as, and I'll keep saying this, the Pump Life Connect website, that's an information portal for the instructors. So any information that I might get from American Heart, I'm adding that on, or any information that I feel like we need to do as a reminder, I'm putting that in that website so that we're always constantly intertwined, learning and knowing the same things.
So just kind of recapping some of the conversation that we've had, because there's something very different. There's some through lines I want to point out. You are very consciously developing network dynamics with the people that you're training. So you're training instructors, you're offering an instructor course, but you're very consciously choosing people that want to do this for a business. And then you have this, I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe it. You have more of a push motion of your content and value that's going to your network than
Mhm,
like a pull value, where like the pull value is I'm going to a large entity that might have the network effects of purchasing power. And so the value that people are trying to pull from that network is discounts. You're doing a push on both education, business model, quarterly updates, newsletter updates. You're trying to grow your business by providing more value. And in some way, that connection builds trust that when you grow them, your business kind of grows as you're pushing stuff out to them, which is, I think, and have talked quite a bit, especially as you have things like RQI and more blended learning programs that might change how those things are offered. That really the value that's going to come from TCs is having more like that network where you've got an organization that's trying to help all the different parts grow beyond that. So that's really
mhm,
cool. The other thing that we talked about, just going to recap some of these things, was just in general. And I think this is something that we try and tell, like even at Hoven, and one reason you and I are always throwing ideas back and forth is this idea that everyone's like kind of out there competing on, not everyone, a lot of people feel like, oh, I got to compete on find a class and listing public classes and getting more students that are going to find me. And I think that's still an important part. Like your name should be out there. You should have public courses, but that is a difficult game to play when you get that student and that student's only going to give you that dollars for the class. And then the next 2 years, you obviously want to retain them. But one thing that you consistently done, and I've watched your business grow and grow, is that you're always seeing this as some relationship to some employer on the other side. And then when you secure that B2B or corporate training relationship, whether you're teaching an instructor to work in house or you're just doing group training,
Mhm.
that is retention, like you mentioned, and other value that you can give to them, whether it's more courses or medical equipment or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing that like we we try and do from the Hovn side, but I like that you do from the TC side is educate instructors and just have that business model where you're trying to convert more people into these B2B training, especially as convenience becomes a factor on the open enrollment classes.
Yeah. That's a great description. Yeah. And yeah, and I love my individual classes. I do. I love my individual students growing and coming
Mhm.
through the door. We're building that relationship. As a matter of fact, in my morning class today, one person mentioned, "Oh, my dad needs 30 people. They came for BLS, but their dad needs 30 people trained for CPR, AED, first aid." Yeah, all sides you end up you need you have to have those individual customers to build that corporate. There's some,
Yep.
you don't have to have it, but there is some relationship in there. And
Yes.
I want to add that even though we are going more corporate, we're not trying to eliminate individual instructors. I think and I know this kind of goes away, but I do want to add this, that anybody aligned with us, I think the alignment, the relationship has to be the same goal. I'm no longer looking for the instructor, and I'll say this word again, the side hustle, because the hustle makes the business a little different. It means doing quick things for a lot of money, fast cash. I don't know how to put this. I don't
It
know.
could be. It could be. I think
It
one
could be, yeah,
I,
but not. It doesn't have to be, or not.
yeah. In a way, what I've always taken away from this conversation, from our conversations, have been you've picked like an archetype of the type of person that you want to have in your network, and that's a very conscious choice, is what you're saying, which
Mhm.
I think is important because there are a lot of different ways you can model a TC business. There are a lot of different ways you can model your instructor business, and you seem to invest a lot in what you're going to give to your instructors. I think that's a really important part of growing any business is knowing who your customers and your community is, because it's very easy to get pulled in multiple different directions if you don't.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
okay, so I'm going to also put you on the spot because we're going to talk about Hovind for 1 sec.
Okay.
Um,
I think I know
to
where you're
we
going with
have
that. You can
to
go ahead.
we have to. Okay, so Darla, you piloted with us in the summer when we were having all these conversations. And then you said, "No, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go do this on my own." I was like, "Okay." And
Yeah.
then now you're back. So you're
Mhm.
signed back up again, and we're
Yeah.
onboarding you. Welcome. I was very excited.
Mhm.
What what happened for those months where you're going in on your own? Because honestly, I would never bet against you if you put your mind to it. So I want to know what happened for those couple months, and then why are you back and working with us?
A few things,
Okay.
time management, and as well as, no, you know what? Time management all around. No matter what I say, we'll always revert back to time management, because what I tried to create on my own just left more questions for my customers. And if there's more questions for my customers, then that's less time for me. My voicemail says, "Hey, you can text me if you have a question." I had tons of questions that were left open that could have been fulfilled if I would have just spent a little bit of time and went with the Hoven work. And yeah, I'm a person that will definitely try to do things on my own first, or if I see something and see an idea and I feel like I can do it. But yeah, with your system incorporating the book purchase and things like that really help. We are really striving to make sure that every student has a book in the classroom, whether it's an ebook or hardcover book.
Yeah.
But no matter how I put it on the website, that message just was not being conveyed. People will still come to class, they don't have the book. There was always an issue. And my goal was to hit hard at this because even though a lot of people may not feel like, okay, teaching with the book, you don't have the book, but it really helps. Even if you're just pointing out different scenarios while you're
Yeah.
teaching. Hey, right now, while we're just going over these videos, it's in part two or part three of your book. It helps time. It helps time with the student taking the test. Now they're not sitting there pondering and trying to remember all the videos and all the things that you said
Yeah.
because you showed them exactly where to find the information on the test.
So
So mainly it was time management because I ended up having to answer a lot of questions. Then no matter how I put it on the website, if I included the link for the book, they still didn't get the book. It's just so many different things. So what made me come back, it was time management. And I have
it,
no problem with going back and knowing when I made a wrong decision.
it's an interesting thing that we want to try and do at Hoven, and we are always trying to strike the balance of our big thing is we want the brands to be the brands. Like we have always said, Shubs and I always said when we started, like, we don't want to teach our own classes. We don't want to be a TC. We don't want to do that. We just want to put the best practices into the app so that everyone can focus on being an educator. The book one and just delivering materials is such an interesting one because we know if you look around the space, everyone's tried to throw paragraphs of instructions at the problem. Everyone's got their own way, blinking text, emojis, check
Oh, yeah.
boxes. And so, an interesting thing that we're doing is we actually tried to strip away a lot of that stuff in the beginning and just can you just make the software do it? One thing we're trying to do and focus more on mentioned is we're trying to apply learnings that we see off thousands and thousands of registrations that come through so that you don't have to learn, gosh, how do I make sure that this person understands how to do the book? But then also know, like, what was always important to you when we were talking in the beginning is your whole thing was, I still want people to know that it is Pump Life and it's my brand because you're putting a lot into the service that you're offering across the country. Yes, I saw people. If there's one thing people definitely don't read, they absolutely do not read.
I see. I
By the way,
you
if
said
yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. That's funny. You said definitely people don't read. And then I just happened to see one comment. Marisol said people don't read. I want to
No,
ask
no.
her a question. Is she agreeing with you? People don't read the website or people don't read the books?
It possibly both, but people definitely don't read. People definitely don't read the website. And the thing that I keep trying to tell people is people are scan websites, and the second there's something there that the brain thinks doesn't apply to them,
Hmm.
everything else doesn't apply. Actually, just to give you guys a little bit of a preview of what happens in our lives, we were doing a breakdown on one of our checkout pages, and a lot of people love to do the add-on courses. And so we're
Hmm.
putting together a playbook for add-on course, and one person had an add-on course that was designed with the add-on course plus all the add-on potential materials. And we noticed in our checkout page that meant it put required stuff and optional stuff together. But the way it was organizing it, the optional stuff was at top. And so we're looking at this saying one thing that can start to happen is the second someone sees something and they're like, oh, this doesn't apply to me, they assume the whole rest of the box doesn't apply. And that's the part that starts to get tricky. And those things are just it takes a lot of seeing multiple people go through to learn that. So what we do is as we learn one thing that helps convert books for everybody, we apply it all the way across. Okay. I appreciate everyone hanging on for extra time and you too, Darla, of
They
course.
are. No worries.
If anyone has any questions, fire them into the chat because we'll start to wrap up. Darla, I would love to have you back on for more chat. But as always, so wait, first, where can we find you? So we have Pump Life CPR. I'm going to share this all in the Substack too, but Pump Life CPR, that's where we can get all the information. Also, people should follow your content. I know you were doing content on Instagram. Okay, so Darlene joined Marisol. Yes. Wayne. Still call asking for questions. Yes. Wayne, this is where we opine. I agree on and you all have way more experience as instructors. I just watch from the tech side and see the patterns, but it's going to be true in so many different spaces. And it's actually been really cool. I've been on Instagram joining, following a bunch of providers, seeing what kind of video content they have. I've given a shout out. You all should follow, if you're all on Instagram, you should follow Queen of Hearts. Hopefully, she'll watch this video because I know she's subscribed to Substack, but she's based in Australia. She does fantastic content. Marisol's also doing new content. Love the new content, Marisol. Or maybe I'm just picking up on it, but your content's awesome too. Darla, you also have great content. This woman who's based in Australia, she's doing content on B2B training and fantastic. Her content's talking about all the value of being in a corporate environment and the scenarios and everything like that. And so I'm going to pull this all the way back to Wayne's thing. I do think when you're running public classes, you're going to see more people who just want to get in and get out. And that's where I think for everyone here who's really values being a good educator, that's where I think corporate training is also very interesting because there's so much more you can sell on preparation and competency and all that gets beyond just what's the quick in and out. That's my hope. And that's what I see with people that are producing content and still getting a lot of business. And I just love seeing that content on the site when it's not just a course that I taught, but you're showing like the community of people that have got the certification, the different things that you do. And Darla, you are living, breathing proof that is true.
Oh, thank you.
All right, everyone. If there are not any questions, we are going to wrap this up. It is my daughter's birthday, or it was yesterday.
Ooh,
So I'm going to take her out to
okay.
dinner and then I'll get this whole thing edited. If anyone's at CAS, I don't know, Darla, are you going to CAS? No?
I'm gonna try to make it one day, at least 1 or 2 days. Lisa is in Arizona, so that's a purposeful visit as well. Is
Oh,
that what you're
okay.
talking about in Arizona?
Yeah, Shubs and I
Oh,
will be there next week.
okay. All right. So yeah, definitely gonna try to make it. Just yeah. Otherwise, I hope I didn't talk too much and I always love sharing, but just I also for all of us, everybody, the 15 people that have been on here because people get on these things and they get off. And I'm glad that you guys stayed on and I hope it was meaningful for everyone. I feel like any information that you guys want to bounce back on me that you might see that I might have missed, I'd love to hear feedback as well. And we are on Instagram. I do a lot of things on Instagram and then I try to post on Facebook as well, but pretty much a lot of it shows up on Instagram. And then we have our website, pumplifecpr.com, that's more
Hmm.
focused for our students that will be updated soon with the Hovn network again. Yes. And then our new corporate side, not a side hustle, but side company more geared for the corporate world, for corporate folks that may want to just grab a group of LMSs for their staff is CoreSourcePro360.com. And so I'll start advertising that more on Instagram if anybody wants to see what we're doing. But we're doing so
Real
much
talk.
more than just teaching. And I just if you grow that way and not just teaching because teaching is the most important factor of it, teaching people to save lives. So I should say we're doing so much more than card pushing. That's what I'll say.
True network building, value from pushing down on the content. And I've seen more people trying to do that, which is fantastic.
Yes, I agree.
We should do it. What we'll definitely have another one where we circle back. We should do this again, Darla, and maybe we'll do a tour of the programs. I got to figure out how to do that through Substack, but it would be nice to do a little tour.
Okay. I'm with it.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Darla, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you
Bye,
again so
everyone.
much for spending time with us. It's wonderful, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.